Section 4.2 is about writing one quantity as a percentage of another. It's all been done in Unit 1 and Unit 2, and here it is in Unit 3 again. I'll do some of the grade B-ish questions. So I'm looking at question 6 on page 53. It says here that Greg's car insurance has gone up by £60. It's gone up to £480, alright? And it says Greg works out, he takes his 60, he divides by 480, then he multiplies by 100, and he says the cost has increased by 12.5%, so I presume this is 12.5%. Now, what was his mistake? Now, if it increased by £60 to £480, the cost was actually £420 originally. Is that alright? He divided by the new price rather than the old price. Remember, to express one quantity as a percentage of another, and the percentage increase will be the difference, which is 60, divided by the original, which is 120. That's what he should have done. He should have divided by 420, not 120, 420. So part B, what is the actual percentage increase in the cost of his insurance? Just to remind you, percentage increase, or decrease for that matter, is going to be the difference divided by the original price from which you went up or went down, and then multiplied by 100. So the difference was £60 different, and the original was 420 because it went up to 480, so it must have been 420, and now multiplied by 100, and that's going to give us something. So 60 divided by 420 equals, so I've got 14.2, it's approximately 14.3% and not 12.5, okay? And that's just playing with one decimal place. Now question 7 is a good one. It says Sarah gets a 30% reduction in her car insurance because she's not made a previous claim. Okay, so she's cheap. She gets a further 10% reduction. Why? Because the reduced price, she gets a further 10% discount on this reduced price by agreeing to pay the first £100 of any subsequent claim. Don't worry about all the technical language. Basically, she gets a 30% discount and then a 10% discount. Now, Sarah says the total reduction is 40%. Question mark. Do you agree? Explain your answer. Well, it's hard to explain it unless you do a calculation. So, if you've gone down by 30%, you have 70% of the money you still have to pay. And if you're going to go down by another 10%, you're down to 90% of this amount. Have you got that? Dropping by 30%, so it's 0.7, dropping by a further 10% after that 30% drop gives you a multiplier of 0.9, because it's 90% of the 30% drop. So 9 sevens I think are 63, aren't they? Just check, 54, can't remember. So 0.7 times 0.9, yeah, I was right, which is 0.63. Therefore 63% of original. Therefore that will be let's have a look, that'll be a 37% reduction and not a 40% reduction. Therefore 37% reduction, not 40%. Alright, so it's a common mistake in people's thinking. Alright, that's lovely. Do I agree? No, I disagree. 37%, not 40%. Now, next question looks a little bit long, but I want to do it because it's interesting. It says a manufacturer makes rectangular rugs. Okay, rectangle rug. I've got 160 centimeters long, it says, and 120 centimeters wide. The manufacturer decides to increase both dimensions of the rug by 20%. So increase by 20% and increase that by 20%. Find the percentage increase in the perimeter of the rug. Okay, so perimeter equals 160 plus 160, obviously 160 there, plus 120 plus another 120, 120 there. Altogether we've got 160 plus 160 plus 120 plus 120. Boom, I've got 560 centimeters. That's the original. Now increased perimeter equals my original 560 multiplied by 20%. So there I go. In other words, 1.20. So multiplying that by 1.2, that gives me 672 centimeters. And he wants me to work out the percentage increase in the perimeter. Okay, difference equals 672, take away the 560. So let's just do that. 672 take away 560. That gives me 112. So percentage increase equals difference divided by the original multiplied by 100. So that divided by 560 equals, then multiplied by 100, that's 20%. Not surprising, is it? A linear increase of 20%. Yeah, why not? If I've increased everything by 20%, 20, 20, 20 all round, then if I add up the original perimeter and I increase that 20% as if it was one long length, of course I'm going to get a 20% increase in the perimeter. It's sensible. Now what about the area of the rug? Okay, so here's the original area. Again, let's do an experiment. That's going to equal to 160 by 120. Do the maths on that. 160 by 120 gives me 19,200 centimeters square. I want to increase that by 20%. No, I don't. I want to increase the length by 20% and work out difference in the area. Okay, fine. So the increased area is going to be 160 multiplied by 1.2. That's that increased. And then multiply the 120 by 1.2. What am I going to get? 160 times 1.2 multiplied by 120 multiplied by 1.2. I know this is going somewhere. So I have got 27648 centimeters squared. So the difference is going to be 27648, take away my original area, and that's going to be 19200. That gives me 844 centimeters squares difference. So here I go. My percentage increase in area is going to be my difference over my original. Multiply that by 100. Now I know the answer straight away. I think it's 1.44. Okay, so let's just see if it works. So 8448 divided by 19200 equals, yeah, 0.44. In other words, multiply by 100, 44%. Great, that's the area of the rug in terms of percentage increase. Now, would the percentage increase in the perimeter and the area have been the same if the rug was a square? Well, let's just think about that, shall we? Let's just do a square. And let's pretend, I don't know, let's just call this x times x. And I want to increase each by 20% and increase that on by 20%. Again, I'm just doing experiments here in front of you, trying it out. Then we'll talk about it. Now, the perimeter is going to be 4x, isn't it? Is that all right? Now, we're going to increase that by 20%. So, after the increase, perimeter equals, it's going to be 4x multiplied by 1.2. That's going to give us 4 times 1.2. That's going to give me 4.8 x's altogether. So 4.x centimeters, say. Alright, that's that one done. And what about the area? So the area is going to be x squared. Now after the increase, I'm going to take my x and multiply that by 1.2, and then I'm going to take my x and multiply that by 1.2. So what have I got here? I have got an answer of 1.2 squared, which is going to be 1.44. So it's 1.44 x squared, and that is my increase. So difference is going to be, for this one here, is going to be difference is going to be 0.8 over the original 4, and of course these are x's, aren't they? Then they cancel down, and that's going to be 0.8 divided by 4. That's 20%. So I've proven that's 20%. And here the difference is going to be over original is going to be, what's the difference between that and that? It's going to be 0.44, x squared, because 1.44 take away 1x squared is 0.44 x squared over the original, which is just 1x squared. They cancel, and I'm going to get 44%. So it makes no difference whatsoever, does it? So if I increase my perimeter by 20%, I increase my area by 44%. So it makes no difference whatsoever. And I've just proven that for you, doing it the long way. Best to do it the long way, just to be absolutely sure. Alright, so that's that. And I'm now going to stop 4.1, and that's enough of that.